Why was the coffee scared? Because he kept getting mugged. Ha ha ha. Okay, let's do it. Okay, so today, here we go. We're talking about wages and salaries. We're getting into the financial component. So we're talking about finance, we're talking about money, and in particular, earning money. So most people will get paid these two ways, either a wage or a salary. There's other ways to get paid, but for now, we're just going to focus on wages and salaries. They're similar, but kind of different. Now, normally a wage means you get paid an hourly rate. So that means you get paid per hour. So if you work 5 hours, you get paid for 5 hours. If you work 10, then you get paid for 10. And it's usually for casual employees. So normally your first job will be a wage. You'll get paid a wage. It's usually for retail, usually for restaurants. If you work for, I guess normally other, yeah. If you normally your first job will be a wage. That's all I'm trying to say. Now, the second way that you can get paid is called a salary. This is what happens when you sign a contract and you get paid a yearly amount. So teachers, we get paid a salary, especially if we're full time. Okay, so usually anyone that's a full time professional, more often than not, they will usually be paid a salary, which means you don't get paid extra for overtime. You normally just get paid a set amount per year. You sign your life away, and that's it. So they both have their pros and cons. But before we kind of get into some example questions, here are the important things that you will need to know. Okay, so if I'd say 1 year, I'm hoping that you can tell me how many months is in a year. Pause this real quick and try and fill this out yourself. I'm hoping this is a no-brainer. So 1 year is 12 months. Fortnights, we'll come back to that one. I hope you already know what it is, but I know that in 1 year, there are 52 weeks. I know there's 365 days. And this is where how many fortnights or how many weeks in one fortnight? One fortnight is the same thing as 2 weeks, which means there should be half the amount of fortnights, which means it should be 26 fortnights. Okay. So, fortnight being 14 days or 2 weeks, that kind of thing. Now, for today, essentially, we're only really going to use multiply or divide to find our answers. Okay. And you just have to figure out which one is which. If our numbers should be increasing, we would use multiply. If our numbers should be getting smaller, we would use divide. That's the general easy way to think about it. Yeah, we'll talk about that. And then just another thing, two things to note. Money is always rounded to two decimal places, which means it'll be to the nearest cent. And also, if you ever see two letters PA together, it's a shorthand of saying per annum, and per annum kind of sounds like annual. So annum is the same thing as per year. Okay. Now, I hope you have a calculator on hand. We've got some questions here, and just pick some random names here. RP earns $14.50 per hour. And this is also something I should note here because we are talking about money. Please make sure you add in the right units. So let's say she earns $14.50 per hour. We want to find her payment, find her pay after a 7 hour shift. Now, this is a great example of where if she earns $14.50 for 1 hour, the way that we would find her total is we would take her $14.50. And I want you to think, is it going to be times or divide 7? Now, when I work for longer, I expect to be paid more. So in that case, I'm going to times it by the number of hours that she works. And if you put that into your calculator, you should get, let's see, she should be earning $101.5. Now, in your calculator, we'll say 0.5, but remember, we always need to round to two decimal places, which means just to keep it looking like a real money answer, I'm going to add that zero. So 101.50, that's two decimal places. Okay. Now, looking at the next question, let's say Luca, another random name, is a teacher earning 98,000 PA. And I hope you remember what PA stands for. It means per year. Okay. So Luke is going to be our teacher today. We want to find his weekly pay, his monthly pay, and also his fortnightly pay. So if I want to find his weekly pay, is it going to be more or less than 98,000? It should definitely be less. So I want you to think, is it going to be times or divide? It should definitely be times. I'm joking. It should be divide. Okay, so for this particular one, how would I find his weekly pay? His weekly pay would be the 98,000. And I'm going to divide it by the number of weeks in a year. And I know that there are 52 weeks. So I'm going to divide it by 52. And if you put that into your calculator, you should get this 1884. And it says 0.6153. And remember, we always want to round to two decimal places. So this is going to be 1884.6. And that one is going to round up to a 2. So that should be your final answer. Now, if I want to find his monthly pay, I would take the same 98,000, but this time, how many months are there in a year? There are only 12, so I would divide that by 12. And so if I divide this answer by 12, your new answer should become 8,166. And it says here 0.666667. And so for this one, for two decimal places, it's going to be 8166.6. And then that second 6 will get rounded up because that next number is also a 6, which is greater than 5. So 0.67. Okay. Oh, my goodness, 0.67. Well done. And last one, fortnightly pay. Now, fortnights, there's two ways that we can do this. We can either just pick his weekly pay, which is this number here, and times that by 2, because there's 2 weeks in one fortnight. Or, because I'm on a roll here, I might as well. I'm going to go to the 98,000. And how many fortnights were there in a year? I hope you said 26. And then if you divide your 98,000 by 26, because that's how many fortnights there are in a year, you should get 3769. And I'm going to round this one straight away, which is going to be 0.23. Okay. And that there would be your answer. Now, last one. Let's say Madison. She's gonna, sorry, I was trying to think of a joke, but I couldn't think of one. Maddie earns $450 per week. And the question is, we want to find her monthly pay. Now, this is a trick that gets most students, unless they know or they've done this before. Most people will think, how many weeks in 1 month? They'll think roughly 4. Now, I want you guys to write this, highlight it, bold it, draw a cloud around it. 1 month is not 4 weeks, okay? If you think about it, 1 month is normally 30 or 31 days, and 4 weeks is only 28 days. So you would actually be kind of getting slightly less. So what we need to do is this little note underneath. We're going to use the yearly pay to relate weeks and months together. Okay, so that means we have to find the yearly pay before we can relate the weeks and the months together. So you can't do it directly, is all I'm trying to say. So to do this question, I want to find out, whoops, very good. That was not necessary. Okay, so for this one here, you just got a note of my reminders. Maddie earns $450 a week. Let's start with the 450. That there is per week. Now, what I want to do is, I'm going to write down, I want to get it to my yearly amount. Now, how do I get to yearly? From weekly to yearly, how many, from weeks to years, I'm expecting to get paid more. So am I going to times or divide? In this case, I'm definitely going to multiply. And how many weeks in a year? There's 52. So I'm going to go 450 times 52. And that should give me her yearly pay should be 23,400. Okay. Now from yearly to months, because that's what we're going to do next. So we want to find her monthly, is we're definitely going from a bigger number and I'm expecting to get paid less per month. So am I timesing or dividing? I hope you'd say dividing. And how many months in a year? There are 12. Okay, so I'm going to take that 23,400. I'm going to divide that by 12 because there's 12 months in a year. And my answer should become 1950. And that there would be her monthly pay. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later. Bye.